Kind of came in the songwriter thing via the back door. That's what I tell everybody. Like, I didn't move here going, oh, I want to be a songwriter. I moved here thinking I was going to play for an artist. And, you know, I was blessed to do that a lot.
There's timing for things that happen. And, you know, absolutely able to be at EMI when Brad Paisley shows up on the scene.
That's a God thing. That's all you can say to that. You know, it really is.
It's an incredible time. And
It totally was.
This guy right here is one of the best guys in the world that you'll ever meet. And
well, you're sweet.
He's had a lot of success here in Nashville in the music industry and specifically in the songwriting world. And so Robert, kind of give us an idea of, you know, well, Robert's also a pretty good guitar picker. I don't want to leave that out.
That's kind of what I moved here to do, honestly.
That's right.
You know, so
give us the rundown of, you know, your story of kind of getting into music there in South Carolina and sort of the progress of what led up to moving to Nashville in the early 90s.
You got it, brother. Thank you for having me on this. Yeah, like he said, I grew up in Union, South Carolina, native there, born there in 1962. I'm an old guy. I'm 62 years old. Man, my first memory of any music is my dad. There were 8 siblings in that family. They were remarkable singers. I have just branded in my soul this memory of them around an out-of-tune piano singing gospel songs. That's my first, and I was just so intrigued by that even as a little kid. And I've always just been a fan of music. At 7 years old, I'm really dating myself now, I had a crush on Karen Carpenter.
Oh,
my mom took
greatest ever.
My mom took me to Spartanburg Memorial Auditorium to see the Carpenters. I'll never forget it. Man, she's up there in that white dress singing Rainy Days and Mondays, and then she gets behind the drum kit, little wardrobe change. I can still remember the plants on the stage.
Yeah.
So, man, that was my first quote-unquote concert other than going to church, and man, I was just enamored by the whole thing, like the whole live music thing. That was actually prior to me even having an instrument. At about 10 years old, my dad bought a $17 guitar. It was from what would have been Walmart, but it actually wasn't Walmart. It was Elm. It was some weird name. It wasn't Kmart. Bought that. He kind of started teaching himself too. My dad was a remarkable singer. He started teaching himself. I started teaching myself. I was 10 or 11. Really didn't get serious about it till I was maybe 13, 14.
Yeah.
I started wanting to play in bands. I got the Leonard Skinner's One More from the Road album. I remembered having the Merle Haggard's Greatest Hits. I was this hodgepodge melting pot, if you will, of all these styles: gospel music, playing music in church, just listening to rock, listening to country, listening to a little bit of everything. So to this day, that's kind of the way I am. I just kind of you know, all kind of stuff. Yeah, I started playing, got in some bands, sing The Little Girl Smiling at Me. I'm like, that's pretty cool. I think I like this, you know. So yeah, I caught the bug, played in several local bands with some dear friends who are still in the Union area, who are still getting it done down there doing that. My mom and dad said, well, we want you to go to college. So by then I was pretty big. I'm like, well, you know, if I'm going to go to college, I want to do something with music. So I went to USC, majored in music.
Go Gamecocks,
yeah,
by the way.
Go Gamecocks, yeah. And did that. I majored in classical guitar, where you have to set all proper and everything. So that was an introduction to jazz, classical music. I mean, it was such an eye-opening thing for me to go there and do that and just be in a bigger city. Lived down there for 4 years, played with a lot of great players. Got out of college. This was in 1983. Taught music privately. I had up to 60 students at one time. Worked at Hames Music over in the great big city of Gaffney, South Carolina. Loved that place. Loved those guys.
You won't believe it or not.
I know. I heard that. I heard it's gone. But worked over there, sold guitar amps, guitars, taught over there, played in church continually, played at Possum Hollow. I had a house gig over there.
Yeah.
On Thursdays through Saturdays. That really taught me a lot about playing country music. Man, I kind of just reached what I saw as the pinnacle, so to speak, of like in that area, you know, big fish in a little pond, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I just, man, I wanted to move to one of the music centers. I thought about going to Los Angeles and going to GIT. Can't you see a dude like me from Union on the way I talk going to LA back then? That would have been not a good fit.
I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It'd have been a good movie.
Oh, yeah. It would have been a great movie. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Billy Bob Thornton could have probably got involved with that. But anyway, that just wasn't a good fit. New York wasn't a good fit. And then Nashville, I had a couple of friends in Nashville. I said, man, you know, I think this was kind of God dealing with me in this too. Like, you know, if you want to really do music, you got to go to one of the music centers. So just kept feeling the nudge to do that. So in 1992, man, I took the plunge, and that was a big plunge for a little dude from Union who had never lived anywhere else other than going to USC for like 4 years. So moved to Nashville, Tennessee. Didn't really know anybody. I mean, I knew just a handful of people. There was this one guy named Ken Vassey. He kind of started mentoring me with my songwriting. By the way, let me just back up a little bit. Monty Allen is a dear, dear friend of mine. He and I, prior to me moving, Monty and I wrote songs. We wrote a bunch of songs together. Monty's one of the greatest singers that's ever breathed oxygen. Sang on the road for AJ for a bunch of years. Monty's from Lockhart, South Carolina. So Monty and I were buddies.
Suburb
of Union. Yeah, so Monty and I were buddies during that interim time just before I moved here. We were writing a lot. So when I moved here, I was armed with a bunch of those songs. Monty hadn't moved here yet. Monty was thinking about moving too. So I started pitching those songs around up here just to the few people I knew, Ken Vassey being one of those guys. Ken basically tore me down like a military sergeant would do, if you will, as far as like songwriting. Like, man, you need to do this is wrong. But I see some promise in you. I see some good things. So fortunately, I didn't have a big enough ego that I got mad at him and was like, oh, I'm not going to listen to him. I took to heart what he was saying. So he helped me. Fast forward, Monty moved here. Monty being the great singer that he was, Monty moves here. Monty gets a deal at a company called EMI. So they're looking at Monty's songs, pretty much everything Monty had written at the time. They're like, who's this Robert Arthur kid that you're writing all these songs with? And one thing led to the other. Monty gets a deal over there, a publishing deal. For any of you guys that don't know, a publishing deal, this is the quick snapshot. A publisher will pay you a salary, a draw, if you will. It's basically a loan of your own money. Sure. They're like paying you your money and advance, and they're rolling the dice in hopes that one of your songs or your artist career or whatever will hit, and then then you recoup back to them. So
Sure.
They offered Monty one of these deals. And like, yeah, who is this kid, Robert Arthur, that's written all these songs, 30-something songs, I think it was. I didn't know. I was green as a turnip. I didn't know anything about pub deals or whatever. And I'm like, you're going to do what? You're going to pay me $18,000, $20,000 a year to write songs? I'm in, because I was a poor musician living with 6 other musicians up here, eating pizza every night, just broke as everything. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. So, man, I signed this pub deal over to EMI. Monty continued to do his artist thing, chase his artist thing. During that season, even still looking back from like 1994 to 1999, that was, I tell everybody, that was my diving board, if you will, into the swimming pool of what is the music business. Like I mentioned, I moved here to play. I started playing sessions over there, demo sessions where you play on other people's songs and everything. Started doing that, started writing with people, even people that I work with to this day. They signed this little kid, y'all might have heard of him, just straight out of Belmont, Brad Paisley, some kid. They signed him over there. Nobody knew who he was.
95.
I was in 95, yeah.
He signed straight out of
Straight out of Belmont. Yeah. So I started writing with him. He's family to me. Still to this day, good buddy. So during that was the time, like I say, was the slingshot that kind of put me in the business. Chris Latham, one of your good friends who you know very well,
Sure.
just a dear friend. I still work with him to this day. Just lots of folks. That's kind of what launched me. Fast forward from that, I was there from 94 to 99. I went through a little interim season there that I did not have a deal publishing. Then I signed with a guy, Backer Stick, a guy named Kerry Bay. I was with him for about 6 or 7 years. His dad passed away. He kind of got out of the business for a while. Then I went through another little interim where I didn't have a pub deal. I signed with a company called MV2. I was there for 5 years.
Yeah.
Out of that deal, I'm back now with the guy that I signed with second, Kerry Bay, back with his company. I just started my 3rd year back with him. He's another dear friend. Long story. That's a 3-hour story. I could tell you how I met him. But anyway, it was like through sessions and everything. That's how I met him. But yeah, man, just during all this season of ebb and flow, I've been so blessed to tour a bunch. I toured with Brad. I played in his band the first few years he was out. Toured with a bunch of other artists. Toured with a guy named Jeff Bates.
Yep.
Toured with a wonderful group called the Henningsons. Great, uber talented group, family group. Yeah, and then just a lot of one-offs. Played with T. Graham Brown. Played with different, a lot of different acts, and just been very blessed to do that. As far as the songwriting thing, I don't really have that one big, she thinks my tractor's sexy, this one big signature song that like everybody on planet Earth would know. But still, I've been blessed to have over 100 cuts in the genre and a dozen or so Brad cuts. Just been very blessed to do what I do. And that's kind of a big shot. I know I'm rambling here and I'm not letting you every day.
That's what I wanted you to do. And, I think for a lot of artists that come through our studio who are just getting started and they're independent artists and they're writing their own songs and they're coming in, it's a little different world now where you can come in and record a single and put out a single. And
right. A lot
still kind of a singles world.
Another 3-hour conversation that we probably won't go down in this episode, but
what I love about, doing this podcast is having guys like, and girls, come on like you, be able to give a perspective that up and coming people that might be taking a look inside the music industry.
Oh,
I kind of see the progress of, their story might match up with a little bit with your story. How to get from point A to point Z is not necessarily the same for every man. And
I would say it's never the same. I would even go on a limb and say that it's never going to look exactly the same.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things, just hard work is always going to pay. It's always going to get you somewhere, and talent, obviously. But yeah, man, just how it all fleshes out and how it works out is always going to be different.
Yeah. And it's from your perspective as initially a guitar player.
Mm-hmm. And still, that's what I do a lot of.
Right. But sort of guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
Turned songwriter with a deal was it kind of flipped on.
Kind of came in the songwriter thing via the back door. That's what I tell everybody. Like, I didn't move here going, I want to be a songwriter. I moved here thinking I was going to play for an artist. And I was blessed to do that a lot.
Sure. And, being able to, there's timing for things that happen. And,
absolutely
able to be at EMI when Brad Paisley shows up on the scene.
That's a God thing. That's all you can say to that. It really is.
It's an incredible time. And
it totally was.
Well, I look back on that as well. And I was at EMI in the studio as an intern.
Mm-hmm. I remember that
3 or 4 years.
Yep.
And like, what a time to be alive and be in Nashville. Because
it was a magic time.
You were there, and y'all were my connection to South Carolina. It helped me kind of get a foot in the door. And
I totally remember you being there. I remember asking Chris, who is that little red-headed kid? Oh, he's from South Carolina. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, he's cool.
Yeah, Monty and Stacey moved up here.
Yeah, exactly. Monty lived with me prior to his wife moving here. We called it the musical commune. You might have heard of the group White Heart.
Yeah.
Two or three of those guys lived with me. Several CCM guys that were kind of in that world.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another whole long story.
For sure. But yeah, but it was and I've talked about this on other episodes that we've done, the networking part of that this music industry still is alive and well. And, me being able to know some guys from South Carolina who were at EMI that trusted me to be able to say, hey, you need to get this guy in the studio and have an opportunity. Dude, I was a fly on the wall to, and basically the first two albums from Brad Paisley were demoed at the EMI studio.
Absolutely.
Sitting in the room when that was going down, and Jody Messina is upstairs writing Bye Bye, Carolina, and Phil Vassar is there writing number ones, and you and Monty are sitting in the room with all these people. I vividly remember it. Yeah, during that time, and it was just it was just an incredible memory for me to be able to to tell people like, hey, I got a bird's eye view of what was happening during that time, and it's
That's crazy.
and now the publishing situation is there's not really kind of that setup that EMI had doesn't really kind of exist anymore. So being able to see the setup of how all that worked in the mid late 90s, to kind of know how it works. Now you had, the kind of the camps and stuff
Absolutely.
that are going on with Hardy and Morgan Wallen, and I'm probably going to leave out someone, but it's a different approach now in 2025 to the publishing side of things.
Well, it is business wise.
Yeah, maybe you can give an insight to you've seen it change and move over several years. What does it kind of look like now for a new up and coming songwriter to come in, maybe who's looking for a pub deal?
I would say it's still camps. I would say, I mean, it was camps then, it's camps now. The big difference and the big challenge for an up and coming songwriter to like land a publishing deal lies in the fact that the pie that was this big in 1994 has shrunk in terms of income flow.
Yes.
What I mean by that is, like for instance, if I got 2 songs on a Brad Paisley album in 1994.
Just as an album cut.
Just as an album cut. By the way, CDs, for any of you youngsters that don't know, they're these mythical devices that like spin around. No, I'm kidding. It's a joke. But anyway, CDs and albums, on point being, there were physical sales back then,
Yeah.
and there are no physical sales now. So the companies have had to rethink and get income streams from other areas. So if I get an album cut now, let's say I get a George Strait album cut, I mean, this is going to sound crazy to some of your listeners, but financially, that really don't mean that much. It doesn't really mean anything. I mean, people have this perception of, oh my gosh, he got a song on blah, blah, blah. He's living in a big 12,000 square foot house up there. When it absolutely financially really means nothing
Yeah.
because there's no sales.
Sure.
I mean, and I would just challenge your listeners. Some probably would, but when's the last time you went and bought a physical copy of anything? When's the last time you've went down to Walmart or Tower Records? There are no Tower Records anymore. I'm not showing my age. Yeah.
The other day.
People don't do that. People take their phones. I actually set my phone over there so I wouldn't interrupt this podcast, but everything is, we live right here now. We live right on this phone and everybody streams everything. And streaming's a beautiful, great technology. It's leveled the playing field for a lot of artists with social media and everything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's shrunk the income stream.
Yeah. Well, this is my take, and this is how I equate it. And people who are listening can, like it, love it, or hate it. But like Apple both revolutionized and destroyed the music industry income all in one app.
That's well said. That's well said. It's the truth.
It's incredible that you have a library of music from the entire world in the palm of your hand.
At any moment.
Technology side of that is an incredible thing. And then, the physical sales part of it did not ever equate to the download of a single.
Exactly.
Never at our level, the income of one single versus an entire physical copy never equated to itself.
It's not even close money-wise. It's, it's laughable. We won't talk about those numbers because they're just embarrassingly low.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there's just no way to sustain a quote-unquote publishing deal if I'm getting album cuts on people, like just, "Oh, I've got track number 8 that's not on the radio, that nobody's streaming, that's not the one the label's pushing." So, what do, man? I mean, there's you just have to think out of the box and think differently because there's just no way.
Yeah.
And, you can't blame the publishers for it because I mean, they've got to make money too. You can't really ultimately get mad at them because they can't afford to pay me a living draw
Sure.
if all I'm offering them is just album cuts.
Yeah, no, and it's, and for people who are listening or watching, this is not a doom and gloom
Absolutely not.
because
I was going to circle around and say the part that I don't understand as much, being the old 62-year-old guy, but the whole social media internet thing has also leveled the playing field. Guys can young up and coming artists who are savvy in that world, man, they have opportunities that weren't there in the 90s.
Sure.
They totally do.
But it's to me, yes, the physical sales and mechanicals and stuff, not the numbers are not there. So
Well, the numbers are
you gotta. There's ways to diversify with
that's
an artist and a songwriter to get those extra income streams, that are available. But so tap into that.
absolutely.
You can't.
You
You can't necessarily expect that your single alone is going to stream and download enough to cover, what
Exactly.
you expect it to take in. So, and we've addressed this several times throughout our podcast series, but, being able to put on that social media content creator hat as an artist or a songwriter or whatever it is that you do as a creative,
Right.
you got to be able to know, how to you tap into that 30-second video or that 3-minute video,
Right.
whatever it is that can possibly get you more income stream from your art.
And man, I would just circle back around to say ultimately, this is probably an end of the podcast comment, but like great content's I mean, man, great songs and great artistry. There will always be a place.
Yeah.
There will always be a place for that ultimately. And I think the pendulum is swinging back, which you may be going to talk about this some, but it's swinging more back to older school country, more let's get a bunch of musicians in the room and play this thing for real rather than just, building our tracks separately and just real subject matters, real emotional content in the songs. I feel that that's happening.
A little bit of that swing is coming back around.
I totally feel that.
That does kind of lead me to, some of the artists that you've written with, Kojo is one of the people that comes.
Yeah, Cody Johnson. Yeah, man.
Maybe give us a little bit of an insight to like, writing for a Cody Johnson record and
That's funny. Yeah.
name me, maybe name us a song that you've written on a Cody record that like sticks out to you that was like, man, this was kind of it was a real deal. We made this happen in a room and it had just, the lyrics were there and if there was kind of a magical thing that might have happened.
Well, like the Cody cut that I got's a song called Fence Post. It was on a couple album ago, and it was one of those almost a single. He was going to make it a single, but not. But
Incredibly great song, by the way.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard it, go check out Fence Post.
well, thank you.
Super
Yeah,
song, yeah.
yes, on the Ain't Nothing to It album. Cody is just so real. He's just if I could man, what you see out there, and he's that dude. He is just such a real, caring, genuine person. He's ridiculously talented.
Yeah.
And man, that Cody song, it's funny how that happened. This is a great lesson in like songs and sometimes shelf life with songs. That's what I'm about to share. Benji Davis and I wrote that song 7 or 8 years before he cut it.
Okay.
And this was when the bro country thing was really rocking. And I remember the day we wrote it, we were just like, man, let's just write something real. Let's just write something that we love.
Sure.
And so that whole first verse And even the second verse, Mr. Fuller, it talks about that. That's a real dude in the Meadowwoods in Union County that I knew.
I love
that. I mean, the whole thing is just based on real places and real everything. And we just thought, hey, that's a real scenario. Yeah, this young couple falls in love, and hey, they're gonna buy this piece of land, but hey, let's don't tell mom and daddy yet. Let's just keep it between me and you and the fence post. I mean, people in Union County go, if you like tell me something, Brad, you go, hey, now let's keep that between me and you and the fence post.
Yeah.
That's what I told the guy that day. And he's like, man, that's cool. Let's write that. So Benji's a brilliant writer. He's had a bunch of number ones now. But man, we wrote that song, and I vividly remember laughing at the end of the writing session. It was there, which I don't know the timeline, but you guys can look it up. It was when Cruise was number one.
Right.
Florida, Georgia. So we were laughing. We were like, well, this ain't no Cruise. We were high-fiving each other, but this is a country song, but maybe someday somebody will cut it.
Yeah.
So fast forward 7 or 8 years, Benji's people gets it to Cody's manager somehow.
Yeah.
And there again, that's what a good publisher do. They they search these things out.
Yeah.
Well, it just so happens that whole scenario, at least I've been told, I haven't heard this straight from Cody, but that was Cody and his wife's thing when they were like, hey, yeah, we've got this piece of ground, but let's don't tell mom and daddy yet. We're going to buy this. Dude, I'm not smart enough to know that. You know me. That's a God thing. I mean, but here's my point in all that. Write something real. Write what you know.
Yeah.
Write a real scenario, and it's going to connect with somebody.
Sure.
And that's exactly how that happened. I didn't know. Even I'm just being honest. I didn't know who Cody Johnson was whenever we wrote that, because at that time Cody was still in Texas, killing it out there, being a regional artist, but he hadn't got his major label deal yet. We wasn't like, hey, let's write a song for Cody Johnson. Let's write the song called Fence. But it was so not how that happened.
Yeah, even 7
Yeah.
and 7 years down the road, it was a song that was just sitting there.
It just resonated.
The right artist at the right.
So if you write something real and write something great and write something real, man, it will eventually find its spot. That's my belief.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I want to echo what you said earlier. A good song is a good song is a good song. I don't care if it's rock, pop, country, bluegrass, whatever the genre is. The song has to me, it's got to stand on its own.
Prime example, I'll interject a quick story back from the 90s thing. I did a radio tour with a girl named Melody Crittenden.
Oh my God.
Monty did too. She had this
Broken Road.
Come on, he knows the story. Yeah, this guy. It says so. We toured on her song "God Bless the Broken Road." Toured.
Well, let me just preface.
Yeah,
God Bless the Broken Road is everybody's gonna know it as Rascal Flatts.
but that song was put out beforehand,
Right.
almost 15 years.
Correct.
And long story, through some label politics and whatnot, her song didn't make it. And she sang the wheels off of it, y'all. She crushed it. Just go back and check it out. And so it wasn't like, oh, it was a bad performance or anything, but it was a great song. Made it to 28, I think, and that's as far as it went.
Gotcha.
So that song sit there for 15 years. Along comes this group, Rascal Flatts. Everybody knows who they are, duh. Number one, multi-week number one song. To your point you just made, a great song is a great song. And that was a freaking monster song.
Yeah, it just wasn't the right
And it just wasn't the
timing and all the things.
exactly. And all the pieces didn't fall into place.
Yeah.
So
That's an incredible example. I had totally
Yeah.
forgot about it.
yeah,
But yeah, Melodies is one of the
she's still here and sings a lot on the opera. Yes,
session background singer and all the
just
things.
sweetheart and just a monster talent.
Well,
Yeah.
So let's brag. I want you to brag on yourself a little bit. Give us some songs and some artists, and I know you got 100 cuts. Like, give us a little bit of a list of hey,
Well-
song is on this record.
Well, man, you're sweet. I'm so old, I might not remember them all. I mean, like I say, a dozen or so on Brad. I'll just interject here, man. There's no way I can overstate how good that guy's been to me. He's just,
Let's pause that right there on that.
Yeah.
For a second, because you and I both were around Brad Paisley before anybody really ever knew who he was.
right.
And what is amazing about him and his career and the things that he's done to me is the loyalty factor of.
He's totally that guy.
But
Yeah.
here's what blows my mind. I was in school at Belmont with Justin Williamson, who's Brad's fiddle player, Justin left school early to go take a job with Brad Paisley in '98, I believe it was. And to those people who don't know, Justin has never played with anyone ever in his entire career. And we're talking 25 years later, he's been on salary with Brad Paisley as a ungraduated Belmont student in 1998. Justin and all the guys in his band, I know you and Zach Childs kind of came in and out a little bit. Yeah, I mean, other than that, Brad Paisley is a guy who came in and did it a little bit old school style. Absolutely. And has continued that for 25 years, however long it's been.
And he's still that guy. And honestly, when I left Brad's band, I mean, I don't mind sharing this, and he knows all this. It was that year that he was going to be gone, probably 250 days, and we were newly married, going to have our first kid. And see, you got to look at it through this lens. The 90s were roaring. I was playing a lot of sessions then. I had a pub deal at EMI. So I made the decision, and to this day I look back and go, man, was that the right decision? You know what I'm saying? But that I remember sitting in the back of the bus with him at night going, man, I just think I need to stay home. I think I'm just gonna stay home for a while. And man, just to show you his loyalty, he didn't get like mad at me and go, oh, screw you, whatever. Yeah. Now, man, he's just he's like a brother to me, and man, he's just continued to write with me over the years, and he's ridiculously gifted in so many genres. We know Brad is the country guy, and he's a country historian. He knows old country in and out. But the dude he's an authentic jazz player. He can play anything.
Legit. Yeah, you can take the chicken picking away and tell him to play blue bossa or whatever jazz standard.
Exactly.
Like a boss.
Yeah, that's correct. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. Like to him as far as the musician part of what he does. But you and I, there were people who've been around and know he has this dry wit humor thing that he can tell you a joke straight face and not even make crack a smile, and you're dying laughing over in the corner.
He's so funny, man.
It's just all those things that for him coming through in that time in the 90s was a perfect storm of just I mean, you had Brent Mason play sessions at the time, but Brad Paisley didn't need Brent Mason to play on the sessions because he would get in there and smoke it. And then, the lyric content.
It's great.
I'm Gonna Miss Her. Yeah. Came out of Belmont his senior year.
I remember.
They sang the song, didn't put it on the first album.
I vividly remember all that. I was right in the middle of all that.
Yeah. They pitched I'm Gonna Miss Her to Garth Brooks. And
Alan Jackson too.
Right.
And Alan wanted to cut it, but but then he ended up not cutting it. And then Brad went to him and said, no, we're not pitching that no more. I'm gonna keep it for myself. And it ended up on album 2.
Exactly. I always thought it was going to be like the thing. It was going to end up on album 1.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess that's small. That was information was for free.
That totally is. It totally is.
But it was a perfect storm of him coming in and, man, getting in the room with him and, having cuts on his records. And, that was a time when you had physical sales going.
Exactly.
But the incredible thing about a guy like Brad Paisley is to this day in 2025, you can still call him. You can go sit and write a room with him. You can do all the things. And that's some things that the general public doesn't know.
Yes, exactly.
Open. It's not a thing that's openly known, I guess.
Well, it's just a testament to his character. To me, I mean, he can write with anybody. He don't need Robert Arthur. I mean, let's be honest, but he's a loyal dude, man. And he's just, that's who he is.
Yeah. That's just an amazing thing. And once again, it was just to go back to the EMI thing you were talking about earlier, that was just a time where all kinds of things fell together for
absolutely,
and it was a really good.
That's what I mean about the slingshot thing. That 94 to 99 window, I still look at those days when you were there being the intern. Yeah. Man, to this, even here, 2025, can't believe it's 2025. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, that was my launching pad.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it really was.
Well, to kind of land the plane, I guess here for this episode, um, uh, let me pose this question to you. So,
Okay.
if you're an up and coming songwriter in 2025, kind of looking back at your career and all the things you've been through, and you got a 30,000-foot view of, lots of experience and things that have been going on, is there one thing, is there two things you could give as a piece of advice to someone who's pursuing a writing career, or a guitar player and a songwriting career? From your perspective, is there something that you would say, man, you should probably focus on this, man? From my experience,
Right.
do this.
I mean, we've already touched on the differences in the industry. So just being keenly aware of that, you have to be keenly aware of and just have real expectations in that, okay, if I get an album cut on so and so, then that's not going to necessarily be this financial gain, which we've kind of covered that ground.
Sure.
But man, I would just say, just write all the time.
Yeah.
Write just have your antenna on. To me, a songwriter is a aware person, and then here's what I mean by that: just listening to everyday conversation. When you go to a bookstore, looking at the titles of the book, when you're listening to a podcast like this, listen to conversation. When you're on social media, scrolling through Facebook, you're looking and going, "Oh, that's cool. That's okay," and always looking for an idea, looking for an angle. And man, write. This is super true for like a young up and coming writer who hadn't written a lot. Write all the time and write all the ideas. Trust me, y'all. I've got CDs, again, those mythical devices. I've got CDs full of average songs.
Yeah.
And average songs just ain't gonna cut it. So you have to write and exercise that muscle. My good friend, who's now no longer with us, Kenny Beard, great songwriter. He said it this way one time, and this always resonated with me. He said, write every day. Write every day, and write the average ideas. And then when God drops that brilliant idea in your lap, your knives will be sharp.
Sure.
And all your tools will be ready, and you'll be able to, he said it like this, you'll be able to wring all the water out of the rag. That's a country way to say it. But it's true. Man, if you just sit there and never write, and then you wait, I'm just going to wait till I get a great idea, then I'm going to write a song.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to be ready when you get that great idea. Write the average ones. Just write all the time. It would be equivalent of me going, man, I'm going to play a little church league basketball here and shoot, and I'm just going to play on the weekend a little bit. And then, man, you know what? I've done this a few times. I think I'm gonna call Michael Jordan up and see if he wants to play one-on-one, or Larry Butler, somebody modern,
Yeah.
or whatever. I mean, fill in the blank. Dude, you got to do it all the time. Whatever it is you do. Same thing with guitar playing or singing or whatever. Work at it.
Sure.
I mean, work ethic is there again. It's just the way I was raised in Union County. But whatever you do, you got to work. You got to put the time in. You got to work at it.
Yeah. Love it.
And so, yeah, that would be what I'd say.
Well, man, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Man, it's been incredible. Get to sit down and talk with you.
Buddy, same here.
To do this a lot.
And man, I want to interject something. And man, he has no idea I'm about to say this little 30-second spiel, but people in upstate South Carolina, I'm afraid sometimes have no idea the treasure they have in this guy. This guy's facility there, he's had me down to play guitar on several nights, which any of you guys watching, I'd love to come down and play on your project. You can tell Brad, and hey, I'll come down and play on it. Yeah. But anyway, he's got an extremely capable group of players down there that he uses all the time. This guy living here, having his hand on the pulse beat of it for all those years when it was magical. He's a treasure. Go cut your project there. Go do your thing there. You won't be sorry. And he had no clue I was going to say that. So I hope he don't edit this out. And there,
I sincerely, I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And as you know, Ben, I call on you for advice. The nice thing, I mean,
Yeah.
and I sincerely appreciate you, answering the phone. And
Thank you, buddy. Well, man, same.
but and coming in to sit down.
Brother, thank you. God bless you. Thanks you so much.
Appreciate you being here.
So fun being here with you. Thanks for having me.